Basketball players who have ever played, that's the end goal. Okay, how do I get there? How do I get there? And every decision I made in my life was centered around the process of helping me eventually get there. You know what I'm saying? So I had that purpose. And once I had that purpose, every decision that I made was centered around that purpose.
Exactly. I want to learn how to become the best basketball player in the world. And if I'm going to learn that, I got to learn from
the ranking them. I can't possibly imagine, because everything that I do, I've learned from the guys who come before me.
It's competitiveness, yes, but it's a simple theory or idea to live life by. If you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability. No matter what it is, if you're going to do it to the best of your.
And so, like, the consistency of work, Monday, get better. Tuesday, get better. Wednesday, get better, right? And you do that over a period of time, not like 1 month or 2 months. I mean, it's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and then you can get to where you want to go.
It's the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you become better at your craft.
We're not on this stage just because of talent or ability. We're up here because of 4 a.m. We're up here because of 2-a-days or 5-a-days. We're up here because we had a dream and let nothing stand in our way. If anything tried to bring us down, we used it to make us stronger. We were never satisfied, never finished, will never be retired. My high school English teacher, Mr. Fisk, I actually paid attention one time in class, and he said, he had this beautiful quote, and it read, "Rest at the end, not in the middle." And I took that to heart. I believe there's time for resting at the end, but for me, that time is not now. Thank you for this tremendous honor in acknowledging my basketball career, but I'm far from done. My next dream is to be honored one day for inspiring the next generation of athletes to have a dream, sacrifice for it, and never ever rest in the middle.
Trying to be the best version of yourself. That's what the mentality means. It means every day you're trying to become better. And it's a constant quest. It's an infinite quest. So starting at the age of 2, when I first started playing the game, and on and on and on, I always ask questions. I always try to get better every single day, learn more.
You were asking questions at 2?
Oh, dude, I was asking questions all the time. You'd be surprised. Like, some people, like my kids at 2, could do a lot of things. Mm-hmm. At 2, I could dribble a basketball. I could shoot a basketball on the Nerf hoop at the house, and I would go to practice with my father. I would observe my father. I'd sit and watch games with him.
I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge. You always want to outwork your potential. As hard as you believe you can work harder than that. And that's what I tried to do when I first came in the league. But basketball is such a direct competition sport that me coming in at 17, I hated when my teammates would say, I get hit with an elbow. Right? Shaq would hit me with an elbow in practice, and Nick Van Exel would come up and say, "Are you okay?" I'm like, what? Are you okay? What the hell is wrong with you? So I always had that extra chip on my shoulder. So every day in practice for me was really trying to annihilate everybody that I was playing against. Because I wanted to prove you don't need to babysit me. I'm fine.
Say that people tend to have a tendency to take that lightly.
Yeah.
But no, I love the game. I love it, right? I didn't want to be away from it. I wanted to play all the time. Like, a lot of guys have fun hanging out in the pool in Vegas, and that's it's fine. There's a time and place for that, right? But when I was 18, 20, 21 years old, I wanted to play basketball. I was consumed with this quest of trying to be the best, and we weren't there yet. There's so many things I had to figure out. Am I training properly? Am I working on the right things on the court? There's so many things to do. I didn't have time to go and, hang out over here. So,
it's an obsessiveness that comes along with it. You want things to be as perfect as they can be, understanding that nothing is ever perfect. But the challenge is try to get them as perfect as they can be. Mm-hmm. And what can you do? It's in your control
So control what you can. I can watch film all day long. It's going to help me
Get better.
Yes.
Matter of what's important to you. And what's important to you for whatever reason. You know, I felt like I didn't feel good about myself if I wasn't.
No, listen, these practices are meant to be competitive. They're meant to be competitive. If your practices aren't more competitive than the games themselves, you're doing the wrong thing. And most of these teams and coaches have gotten into a mindset of resting players. Oh, it's too much. You know, we're not gonna practice light day, light day, light day. Phil never gave us a light day. There's no days off. You show up and you work. You practice. And practices are going to be worse. They're going to be more physical. There's going to be more trash talking. And I'm going to let you know. Right? If you didn't show up today, I'm going to let you know. And it's going to be embarrassing. And you're going to hate it. But when Game 7 rolls around, the NBA Finals, you will be prepared.
Kid, I said I want to be the best ever. Right? And now you go through your life and everything you do is trying to be the best ever, be the best ever, be the best ever. And as you get older, you start understanding that those things are very superficial things.
20 championships. There's always an opinion on who's the best. Everybody has different opinions. And so I started really kind of understanding maybe that's not the important thing. Maybe the important thing is to, you know, how do we as a team grow? How do I help my teammates be better? So that was the first change for me. And then as I got older still, it became more about how are you inspiring others, right, to find themselves. That is the ultimate championship. So won 5 championships, that's great. Another team won a championship this year. Team's gonna win a championship next year. Those things come and they go. But what stays is how do you use your passion and use that to inspire somebody else to create their passion? And then how can they pass that on to the next person? That is true success.
Hey, I mean, since 20 years, it's an everyday process and trying to figure out strengths and weaknesses. For example, jumping ability. Now, my vertical was a 40, wasn't a 46 or a 45. My hands are big, but they're not massive. Right? So you got to figure out ways to strengthen them so your hands are strong enough to be able to palm a ball and do the things that you need to do. Quickness, I was quick, but not insanely quick. I was fast, but not ridiculously fast. Right? So I had to rely on skill a lot more. I had to rely on angles a lot more. I had to study the game a lot more. And but I enjoyed it though. So like from the time I can remember when I started watching the game, I studied the game and it just never changed. And at 13 years old, I played the longer game because my game wasn't about being better than you at 13. It was to be better than you when the chips are really on the line. So when we played at 13, I would size you up and see what your strengths and weaknesses are. How do you approach the game? Are you silly about it? Are you goofy about it? Are you good at it just because you're bigger and stronger than everybody else? Right? Or is there actually thought and skill that you put into it? Right? And when I'd play to my weaknesses. I wouldn't play to my strengths. I played to my weaknesses. Because when you're playing summer basketball, there's so many games. So there's not a lot of skill work being done. So when are you going to get better? Right? When you're playing in competition situations, you're only playing to your strengths. Why? Because you want to win. Right? So what I would do, I was work on the things during those games that I was weak at. Left hand, pull-up jump shot, post game. Right? So I have a strategy. And so then fast forward to when I'm 17 and my game is completely well-rounded and that player at 13 that I saw at 13 is still doing the same shit at 17.